History Center for Aransas County.
Welcome to the History Center for Aransas County. We are excited to have our exhibit, The Vietnamese Culture, 40 Years on the Coastal Bend. What we are displaying here as part of the exhibit is to show that some of the Vietnamese who fled Vietnam came to settle here in Aransas County. And in this exhibit we show a little documentation of how they actually came across the port of entry legally and settled here. And of course, with language English barrier, they pretty much settled here and became shrimpers. And every money that they saved to rebuild, to better themselves here. And part of the resettlement, they resumed their religious practice, which is predominantly Catholic. And that's how St. Peter's Catholic Church is still formed to this day. Back then in the 70s when they came here, of course, transportation, one type that they could afford were bicycles, or their sponsors would give them a ride to go to work and or find work. And some of the families reunited, like here in the exhibit where we display that they all came together. Or once they settled, they have friends and families and from other part of the states, moved here due to the weather, due to how they're acclimated, familiarity from the Vietnam climate.
We're at the History Center for Aransas County looking at the new exhibit, The Vietnamese Culture. What you see in this view is a beautiful shrimp boat model that was brought to us by one of our patrons. It was an heirloom that her grandmother had, so we're very happy to have this. This illustrates what the Vietnamese did, many of the Vietnamese did when they first came, and that was participate in the shrimping and fishing industry. So we have this illustrated with a poster here. As we were preparing for this exhibit, we did many interviews with the Vietnamese community. During this time, we interviewed 17 people that were willing to share their stories with us. So we have their stories in video that will be on the screen here at the History Center during this exhibit.
Welcome back to the History Center of Aransas County as we continue the 40 years culture of the Vietnamese 40 years on the Coastal Bend. Part of the exhibit, we incorporated the Growing Up with the Boat People, a book about the cousins who escaped from Vietnam as boat children. And here is Mary Anna. She was the illustrator for the book. And what we have here is, if you open up the book, she actually did her artwork using digital art rather than the traditional art printing. And it depicts the two cousins, how they adjusted their way of life here in Aransas County. Say hi.
Hi.
And the book is available for purchase as part of this exhibit, and you can always inquire and buy it online at the History Center for Aransas County. As we continue with this exhibit, I'd like to show you some of the artifacts that we have. The first items that I have here are the red envelopes, and what this is, and I can remember, is that during New Year, your loved ones, grandparents specifically, your parents, they will put money in here, and then you receive that gifts from them. So that's still going on to this day. What you have here is the woman who's carrying these fruits basket. I can recall as a young kid that instead of fruits, carrying fruits, I was carrying water from the well back to the house, and water was not light at all. Okay, and so you see that's how the women helped bring water or groceries and stuff like that to to their house. What we also have here is a typical I guess food that we eat for the New Year celebration. This happens to be the coconut candy. It's yummy, and that goes with a nice cup of hot tea. It's great during the celebration of the Vietnamese New Year. Here we have another type of áo dài, the traditional clothing, and this one is quite fancy. It comes in velvet with all the sequins and shimmery. And you'll see, young ladies traditionally wear this type of clothing for certain special events or special occasions. Here, this young lady here, this is what traditionally they wear further back in the old days, different styled. But today, all these traditional clothing have been modernized and they've westernized it. So from fabrics to design to colors, sizes, all sorts is incorporated today, and this one is the traditional standard clothing. Again, everything they always have to wear the cone hats because that protects you from the sun, and then lastly, these are you'll find some of these instruments that were used with the Vietnamese music, and so I wanted to show and tell what the typical instrument used to be when they used for the Vietnamese music in Vietnam. Okay.
We're viewing the exhibit, The Vietnamese Culture, 40 Years on the Coastal Bend. We feature a Vietnamese artist who now lives in Spring, Texas. Hep Nguyen did watercolors of photographs that he had made in Vietnam. He came to the United States in the 1980s, did graduate work at MIT, and worked for ExxonMobil for any number of years. He's now retired, and he'll be one of our programs in April. I hope you'll join us to visit with Hep.
Welcome back to the History Center for Aransas County. As we continue the exhibit, what you're looking at here is a dragon where during the New Year festival we actually have people that would do the dragon dance, and the piece that you have that we salvage here actually is it's the survivor from Hurricane Harvey, and whatever that's left of it, but usually an individual would go underneath and they'll dance, and then you'll have people, and the tail and the back of it would follow suit to the drum, and then you'll have a couple of the other smaller dragons to go along with that. But anyway, we are going to have a program on February 6th at 2 o'clock at St. Peter's Catholic Church, and where we're going to have the Vietnamese Lunar New Year event, where you can learn a little bit more about the celebration with other guest speakers that we will have for that program. Welcome back to the exhibit. What we're going to demonstrate today, what you see here is a dragon dance, and the person would go underneath this dragon, and of course you've got the couple individuals in the back who will dance along with the music, and along with Mr. Moon, who accompanies the dragon and tell him how to dance and so forth. And but this piece came from St. Peter's Catholic Church that survived Harvey, and you'll see some of the installation that are still intact. So, but don't forget, we have our program February 6th at 2 p.m. at St. Peter's to show you a little bit about the Vietnamese Lunar New Year. Okay.
That's okay. I
You
can
can cut it.